So where do we leave things?
The text message. First thing I do, I call Gina. I let her know. So we jump on call with the neighbor and we find out that she, our boss, has attempted to end her life. Straight off the bat, me and Gina blamed ourselves. We felt guilty. I think it was because of the timing of everything.
We went straight over to her place. She was not there. She was at hospital. We spoke with the neighbor who had one of her animals, was looking after her animals. We tried to get into the house, but was unsuccessful. All our keys didn't work. It had been like deadlocked. We left and we came back that night just to talk with the neighbor about like any progress that was going on regarding our boss, but nothing could be done that day.
Yeah.
So we moved to the following day, the 29th. We have to work. So we go to our first job prior to opening the stores. And then we go to our boss's house. We're in communication now with our boss. She's asked us to try and get into her house, call a locksmith to break in and just to check on her pets and stuff like that. So we do. We end up getting into her house and the place is a mess.
Yeah.
And Sam and I roll up our sleeves and we sweep the house.
Yeah.
For drugs and alcohol and just a general tidy up before we have to head into work.
Yep, and we go to work. Yeah, so we get into work and then we get text messages from her. We went to go and pick her up from the hospital.
She messaged and was just like, the easiest place to park is like emergency. I'll be there waiting for you.
I ended up electing her. She was not in the mood to talk about things. She was still really shitty about everything that had happened days prior to that day. Then we get in the car on our way back to hers and then she asks like to make a stop.
Yeah, she was like, could you stop at a liquor store?
We had agreed prior that we were not going to be enablers, I guess.
No,
to
we're not going to do that anymore. So I said, no, I'm not stopping at an alcohol store. She got shitty. She was like, could we at least stop at a petrol station or something so I can get cigarettes? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. And then after that, we took her to her house. She wanted us to come inside and we had a conversation with her.
Yeah. And yeah, she pretty much blamed us for the attempt.
She said that she had a lot of issues going on with like family and then obviously the ex situation, but it was like our argument
that like sent her over the edge.
Her.
You know, that f***ed us up. We accepted the responsibility that she wanted us to take for that attempt. And yeah, and we worked to be better people because you know we were the reason why someone wanted to hurt themselves. I don't know. That's like a hard pill to swallow even to this day. And we just move on. And then we move into May. Yeah, everything was like as smooth as it could be.
We just started just getting on with work. We were like, okay, let's just focus on work.
Yeah. That's all we could do. May 1st, wasn't too bad. Her ex tried breaking into my store. So that was just police reports again. Yep.
So it was just more of the ex being a
menace again. And that's like all throughout May. On May 5th, she added me and Gina into the will. But we get to the 10th and we get like text messages accusing us of lying.
Yeah, so that morning we were stuck in traffic and we told her we're on our way and we will try and be there as soon as like the doors open. We get there bang on time and then we finish and stuff and we get texts and she was like, oh, did you guys make it? And we were like, yeah, we did. We literally got there bang on time. And she was like, Bibbers, like, so she had friends at this place.
Keeping tabs on us.
And we had to go to her house prior to opening the stores. So we went and she was like, oh yeah, no, what was the lie? Like, what time did you guys get there? And I was like, we got there bang on time. We even said hello to your friends.
Yeah.
While walking in the door.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, this is why, you don't trust anybody.
But I don't know. I think it was just like the constant questioning of our work ethics. Like, well, fuck, just fire us because...
Yeah, if you're not happy with us, then don't, give us the responsibilities that you do.
Also, I think it's wild that we're expected to respect her privacy, but it's not reciprocated back. And then we move on to the 13th and the 14th, those dates exactly, where we weren't her workers for that day. We legit were her We were running her errands.
Personal.
Yeah.
Can you come over and move this piece of furniture to the front of my house and put a free sign on it for me? Thank you.
Can you move these shelves from, my backyard to my office? Those are the exact dates that we have for miscellaneous jobs.
We were running errands for her constantly, and she said, oh, like, did you want to fill up the car? Like, fill up the car just because of like all the errands that you're running and stuff like that. And I was like, no, I think we should be okay. And so I was like, I feel like we'd only need like $20 or something gas.
Yeah.
And then she was like, we'll use the work credit card, which we had for purchasing stock, and just get receipts. On the way home after work,
Yeah.
we were stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
And our light went on, and Sam's like, we have to go purchasing stock in the morning at 8:30, and then we also have to go back to her house. Remember, we have that meeting before we go to work. And so I was like, surely we just chuck 40 in. I know she said fill, but I'm not comfortable with that. And then we'll get the receipt and we'll explain it to her at the meeting tomorrow.
And we get a series of text messages. What's new? Nothing. And she's furious about us putting in $40 gas. She was just mansplaining a bunch of like numbers and calculations and how she's a business owner, and saying that we took advantage of her kindness. She doesn't appreciate it. Honestly, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, she did the math, and she was like, yeah, I did the math. It's about $10 a day worth of driving, gas for her errands. And I was like,
also wear and tear, like, as well, is included in that $10 gas. But yeah, me and Gina, we took the high road. We took the blame. Not the first time, wasn't the last either. And
also, we don't want like to feel like again.
Exactly.
For being for that being put on us. So we were trying to cater to her and push our aside because we didn't want to be blamed again. 17th to the 27th, those dates, her ex is menacing again, and he is in breach of his bail conditions. 29th, he then has a new warrant out for his arrest, which we are, trying to deal with at the same time because, she carries her personal onto us, lucky us. And then on the 30th, she lets us know that he has stolen his car. His car is parked on her street. She notices that it's missing, so she reports it stolen. So the car was then found and towed, and his bail was denied, and he was chucked in prison.
It was end of May, beginning of June. I got really sick, and then turns out I got strep throat. And then I come back to work. It's my first day back. I go into work to work my shift, not being able to talk. She comes in, and boy, has she got a bone to pick with me. She's fully having to go at me about just everything. It seemed in that moment that a lot of the problems she was addressing that she had with me, it all had to do with Gina. It was how she couldn't trust me anymore. She wasn't sure if anything that was being said between us, I was relaying it back to Gina. And then she was a bit suspicious about me having strep throat as well. She was like, well, obviously, like, you do, like, you are sick because you can't talk. Like, I can see that you can't talk.
Didn't she make an inappropriate comment about you having strep?
Mm-hmm. Yes, she did. When she found out that I had strep throat, she texted me in our, I think it was private DMs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she pretty much said to me, like, oh no, strep throat isn't good. So-and-so will be disappointed to find out that you can't swallow. That was my boss, by the way. I could not talk, so I just took it.
You can't help that you're sick.
Exactly. Also, you couldn't have waited until I fully recovered so I was able to say my piece?
No, because she likes to isolate you and make sure that you're not around anybody. And, if you had have done it when you had recovered at her house, I would have to stand in the other room. Well, can I just add that between the 31st of May and the 4th of June, there are conversations being had with our boss in regards to the stolen vehicle of her exes. There was a conversation had with us present with her friend who is law enforcement, advising her that since she knows the personal details and has all her ex's personal details, she should change the ownership of the car into her own name so that she can get the car back. This was her car. She sold it to her ex. It was then under his name. Then she changed it with the advice of law enforcement to change it back into her name. And we were there. And on the 4th, she messaged us and asked if we could come and pick her up from her house to take her to a towing yard to then, pick up and change the ownership papers and get all that sorted and pick up that car and then drive to work.
This is still the 4th of June. And then we go back to work. Everything's fine. I'm still like recovering from strep. And it just so happens that I get a UTI. And I was like, okay, well, I got to go home. So when I'm grabbing my things, I get an email from like the hospital saying I'm off the wait list and I have a date. And do I want to, take the surgery on this date? Instead of just saying yes to the surgery straight away, I actually screenshotted it and I messaged the group chat with my boss, Gina, and I said, I got this email. I want us to, make a decision as a team all together because I know how hard it will be, like me taking time off work, especially this short notice. She decides to reply to my message saying, question mark, the surgery, question mark, busy at work, question mark, started a new ... quoted in your email to them from 1:17 p.m. question mark. What is happening here? Question mark. Very confused, Sam. Sam, question mark. I pretty much say that the hospital tried calling me. They couldn't reach me. So they followed up with that email. She replies, and what were you saying? Quote, started a new question mark. Job? Question mark. I reply, I said, OMG, no, not job, a new work schedule. And she replies, this is too much. She said, why didn't we advertise for staff more than 3 weeks ago when so-and-so let me know they were leaving? The science didn't have time, so nobody applied, question mark. I want you to have the surgery, which you need, obviously, but there's a big issue now with staffing. So I say, I can try my luck and send out a text to the other girls to see if by any chance, anyone can cover. I also said, and if no one can, I won't get it done. And then she comes back and says, well, I feel very uncool about you missing an opportunity to get that surgery. I'm very unhappy with the position I am in that I care for you and your health. How many days off would it be? A week, I'm imagining, for proper recovery. I start comforting her and I say, oh no, please don't feel uncool. I sent to our chat so we could all discuss and decide together as a team because I know that me taking that much time off work, especially at this time with the staffing issues, is not ideal. Proper recovery, they say 2 weeks, but I told them that I need to only have 1 week max because work. Yeah, so she replies, Sam, you need to follow through with things. I get that you have a reasonable response to every time I ask about something that's not done, but I don't want to have to check this much. If you feel your workload is too much, then yell out. I personally don't think it is, but as always, I'm open to listening and making all and any necessary adjustments. Oh my gosh, I hate these next messages. We've decided together last week it's time for Sam to pull her socks up, right? And you have 100% been doing that, in my opinion. I say, yes, we did, and I have been trying my hardest too, but I'm sorry I let you down again. She says, so long as you're keen to get Sam back on track, I'm dedicated. I think you need to be, in caps, boss Sam again and try to be less distracted by other people. You are smarter than some of the people you have around you. It must be exhausting. What is also unfortunate about the surgery timing is the purchasing. However, Gina really should be capable of going by herself or going with me. She doesn't / should not have to have the company. I said, I'm more than keen, especially because I do miss her. I'm talking about boss Sam. And I know she was always on top of everything. Totally agree, repurchasing as well. And then I get a reply, get it together, Sammy. You got this. I'll help. Handshake. And then says, this combo is on the DL. Okay? Question mark. Just between you and I.
Also, she only privated this conversation so that no one would know how much of a she is, telling you that basically you can't get the surgery done because you haven't found cover.
Yeah.
The work's going to lack, and who's going to pick up the pieces? It's going to have to be her.
Well, I'm disappointing everyone around me. Like, what can I do to be better? And the thing that I could do to be better and to make everyone happy with me is to not get the surgery that I need. And so that's what I did. We move on to the 6th.
2 days later, we do purchasing. We finish. And as we're leaving, I do spot painting. So I messaged our chat with our boss.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, finished at buying and just saw this piece of art. Am I able to purchase it? Obviously with my own money. I just know that we're on like work time. She messages Sam. She basically says to Sam that my priorities are wrong, and messages me back saying that she loves the fact that I messaged her asking, but next time consider the stores. I didn't like the fact that she messaged Sam
Yeah.
behind my back, also making the conversation on the down low. So I said, I am a little bit upset at the moment just because the fact that you message Sam about me. She said, read the message like there was nothing in it. Sam's confused, I'm confused. And I'm like, you know what? Forget it. So I purchased it for the stores.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm like
Upset.
and I'll talk to her when I'm ready, like
Yeah.
because we were going to her place straight after. I ended up handing in my 1 month notice that day. I broke down. I had had enough of this constant narrative of pinning like me and Sam against each other, and then just using me and talking down to me, and I had had enough. My body reacted like really bad. My eczema started flaring up all over my body. I had bloods that were done, which my iron level was dangerously low, and my mental health took a really bad toll. I had to get back on a certain type of medication and then adjust the one I was already on. We sat down and I just ran over everything with her. I said a lot of my health was declining really badly, that I couldn't take the stress anymore.
Yeah.
She wanted to see my eczema. She was like, can I see though? Like, can you show me? I felt really uncomfortable, but I was like, if you want proof, I will show you proof. And I literally took off my pants.
She was supportive in that moment, from what I saw.
Yeah, to my face.
Which leads us to another conversation that she had with me following Gina handing in her 1 month resignation verbally. I get like text message. She says, the Gina is worrying me, the eczema, enough to know how her mental state actually is. So, of course, I am really concerned. How bad is it? Not as bad as I'm worrying. Is this normal-ish for her? So I reply, and I pretty much say she gets really bad eczema and she's really bad with scratching, but I've never seen it this bad. I think her mental state is okay for now, but she will usually talk about it when she's fully processed all her thoughts. So I usually give her the quiet that she needs. She says a lot writing on all of it for me. There's the personal, but I also have to plan if she's going to leave work. I am certainly struggling to cope with the extra load of her being so unhappy at work, to be honest. It's very uncomfortable, a bit disappointing too, but of course she has the right to do whatever she wants, and I want all of you ladies to be happy and fulfilled. She proceeds to say, I've only just started to semi pull back, and now this. I don't understand Gina's angle, to be honest. I know where you work is difficult, but we all work there and 400 other people would cope too.
We moved to the 11th and our boss asked us yet again if we can pop over to her house and run an errand with her. She got notice that her ex was getting evicted and he was still incarcerated during this time. She had access to the property and she took a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, there was bootful. Yeah. And then we went back to work. We move on to the 12th. The next day, that is just a note that Sam had been working 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, and I'm burnt out.
13th, next day, and she messages us saying that she is sick and can we run like some errands to get her medicine before obviously going to work, which we do because we're idiots.
Yeah.
And she offers gas money, which we declined. We're just breezing through June now. 19th of June is she wants us to pick her up from the mechanics and then drive to work. That's just one of many mechanics pickups, drop-offs we did. And 27th, oh, look at that. Pick her up again. Another mechanics appointment. This day was very chaotic. There was a celebration on the street where we worked.
So we end June pretty all good. You know, it's just the same different day. Then we move into July.
So we're in July. And it's the 1st of July, first of the month, a lot for our stores, but this one was a lot personally. There was some very private and personal stuff that happened on the first. I went to work that morning and Sam was starting later, so I went into work. I hadn't heard from Sam, and I had heard from her family, seeing if I could find cover for Sam. That day, I did try and message, but it was very short notice. It wasn't until after I had opened the store, that I found out about Sam had attempted to end her life, and so that was really rough. I I tried to find cover again. I messaged our boss, I never told anybody about that situation, but just trying to see if maybe she could find somebody to cover the shift. I don't know, the days are a blur.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to find her cover, so Sam ended up coming into work that day.
I do want to say, like, it was at that point, like, our work had become our identities at that point, and like, it was the one thing we prided ourselves in being good at, and so constantly having someone tell you, like, you're doing everything wrong, um um and like that you're just constantly like disappointing someone like all the time, and you're just constantly up, like, it's like, and you keep trying, but like nothing is getting better, like they're still like unhappy with you. I think it was just,
It takes a toll.
yeah, and they were just like a lot of emotions, like from you know January up until like leading up to that moment where I was constantly bottling up emotion after emotion, and then it just so happened that that bottle broke, and unfortunately, like, that was like
That was the breaking point.
um my mom actually reached out to her, um and pretty much handed in my resignation.
On the second, the day after, we were heading out of town because we were going to a funeral of a loved one. And we went, and my resignation was written up for me. And I sent it while I was out of town. I didn't get any acknowledgement or anything.
Then we move on to the third. We're still out of town. A message was sent into the group chat with all the workers from her saying, "Sad news. Sam and Gina are leaving us. We knew it would happen someday, but as sad as it is, how exciting for them. New things, maybe travel. I don't know, but what I do know is that they will do great at whatever they do." And the next day, the 4th, we have work.
We are back from out of town, and we go to our purchasing job, and then we have to go to our bosses on the way to work.
That was rough.
That was, well, I mean, the part I was allowed. So we get there. It's cold. It's winter. It's freezing.
Yeah.
There's frost on the grass.
You could see the frost on the grass.
She's
That's how cold
got
it was.
a fire going inside her house, and she's like, "Can you wait outside, Gina?"
Yeah, so I go inside and we're sitting down, and she brings up my resignation, saying that she had received a call from my mom, and I know my mom gave her certain instructions, and that she was upset. She hadn't heard from me in days, very confused. One of the instructions my mom had given her was not to contact me over the next few days, like, just let me be. And another instruction that my mom specifically gave her was she was not allowed to try to talk me out of resigning. And so what does she do? She tries to talk me out of resigning. She tells me that I'm making a mistake, that I shouldn't quit. And then she brings up the incident that had happened on July 1st. She did minimize the severity of the incident that had happened, which made me feel really in that moment. But I think the worst part of that whole interaction was her asking to see it.
It's so insensitive.
She didn't really ask me to begin with. So what had happened is she reached for my hands and she went to look at my wrist and said, "Can I see?" And I was like, what the After all that's done and I pretty much don't give in to her, she moves back into work mode, starts talking about work, and then you're summoned back inside. it was, yeah, the interaction was strange.
It was.
And I
It
think
was
that's
really weird.
Yeah, you could feel like it was just bad energy all around.
But the thing is, the energy was not sympathetic
No.
at all. There was no like concern for Sam's well-being or mental state. There was just no heart in any of that.
Yeah, it was just really weird. I just think a little sympathy would have been nice. Just like a smidge would have been nice. But again, that's asking for too much. And we went to work. We move on to the 10th. God, I hated this morning. I was getting ready for work, and when I'm about to leave, I get text messages from her. She says, "Hi, Sam." I say, "Good morning." She asks if I'm alone, and I said, "Not yet. I'm just about to head out to catch my Uber. Then I will be alone." She says, "I want to talk to you, please, without Gina." Cheers. And I was like, "Yep, that's all good. I'll let you know when I'm in the Uber." Get into the Uber, and she video calls me. It was an uncomfortable phone call. So she called me to tell me that me and Gina were getting declined for bereavement leave. And she says that it's not okay that we get bereavement leave, considering we went to a funeral and it was short notice. I mean, if you look back to the beginning of this timeline, when we went to rescue her from out of town when she was hiding out from her ex-partner, we got bereavement leave for that.
Yep, we did.
So an actual funeral and someone passing, that doesn't count.
No.
She did say to me, like, "Do you think it's really fair that you get 2 days worth of bereavement leave for going to a funeral so short notice?" And then she proceeded to say, "You're smart, Sammy. You're smart enough to Google that."
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we entered it in as 2. My mistake, I will say, I entered it as 2 days. But if you go back to the 2nd of July, did you not tell all our other workers that we were on bereavement leave? So
Yeah.
I apologize for the confusion that you put in place. So she says that to me. I just pretty much say, "No, that's fine. I won't have bereavement leave. Like, decline it. It's all good. I don't need to get paid for those 2 days." And she was like, "Okay."
And we move on to the 17th,
which was my last day. I really wanted to leave on good terms, but yeah, that wasn't happening. We go to her house and it's really awkward. Yeah, and then she gives me my card. It was an A4 piece of paper with a screenshot of me from a video I had sent her with, I don't know, a few sentences. And then she signed it with her full name and the timestamp. I shouldn't have been surprised. It wasn't about the card itself. It was just the fact that there was no thank you. And I didn't even hear that once before I left. Then I work my shift as per usual. And then I clock out and I get text messages from her that read, "Sammy, love you. Congratulations on a great achievement and working more than 6 years at a job. It's something to be proud of. I love you. You did it." And then we move on to the 18th, the next day.
my last day, normal day. Then we had to go to our boss's place and then went into work, finished. I left all the chats as well.
Did you get a text as well or no?
No.
Yeah, after we did leave though, I was still on call. Me and her had made an arrangement that I would be available on call should the workers need like help with anything, the transition of me no longer being there. She offered to pay me. I said no.
10 days after my last day, we flew to Australia to spend some time with some friends that we had met that year. They are the best thing to have come out of that shitty year.
Yeah.
That job and everything. And yeah, we were finally glad to be away and just relax.
But, just when you think something's over, it isn't. Have to reiterate, I did try so hard to leave on good terms, but she just would not let me. She was not for it. And I guess she wanted there to be bad blood between us. I go inside, open my phone, and I just have like a spam of messages from her that read, "Gutted Sam, completely and utterly gutted. I feel it was all a lie. I feel you stitched me up, were laughing behind my back when I cared so much. Manipulated. I never trust girls. This is why. You have made a bad choice in Gina, not your ally long term. I was. You'll find out. I hope it doesn't happen to you. I really do. Goodbye." And then she signed her full name. First off, those 3 messages, Was I in a relationship with my boss and I just was not aware of it?
I think you were, clearly.
Also were laughing behind my back when I cared so much. When did you care? And after the goodbye, she's still not done. Instead, she decides, before unfollowing me or like off her accounts on Instagram, she goes snooping through my highlights.
This is crazy.
And she screenshots one of my highlights. So the screenshot is a photo of the store that I was working at, and it was a fire in store. I took a video of the fire and I captioned it Friday, and it was just a joke. Yeah.
Oh, so this is from like 3-4 years prior.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna go snoop back in somebody's highlights from 4 years ago?
Yeah, so she screenshotted that video and then texted me again saying, "It ain't gone. If I did something to upset you, all I wanted was the chance and respect for our relationship enough for you to let me know. I deserved it. It was all shit, wasn't it? I really thought I had a friend. I told Gina that looking after you guys gave me something important to do. What a joke I was to you. Crushing. I was a complete moron." Yeah, and so I got that. As hard as it was to not reply, I did not. I knew that's what she wanted from me, a reaction, which she did not get. And then we fast forward to the 8th, the 8th of August. So we're finished with July, finished with the job. So I thought. This time it's not through text. It's through a different platform. And I wake up first thing in the morning to text messages. 2 text messages from her. One is a screenshot. She left a really good review for a place that would benefit someone that I really cared about. I never asked this of her. She went out on her own free will to do this. So she screenshots that review, sends it to me, and then messages again saying, "Is there anything else I can do for you?"
She sends the screenshot, by the way, early hours of the morning.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours later sends, "Is there anything else I can do for you?"
That was pretty much the last form of contact I had with her before she got blocked on every single platform I can think of. So that pretty much wraps up the timeline for us leaving the job. We thought everything would be over.
Yeah.
When, we left the job and we moved on. When we decided together that we did want to share our story, we thought it was only right that we did do some digging of our own.
Yep.
Which we did, and we reached out to some of our work colleagues at the times we were there just to kind of get the experience on the workplace, the experience with her.
This next part was filmed, but because of additional information, we had to refilm it because we wanted to give you guys all the tea. We reached out to former employees to get their side of the story. Maybe they had similar stories to us. Maybe they had great experiences, we were hoping. But that was not the case.
Yeah, dreams are free.
Yeah. We reached out to them and asked them if they could answer a few questions for us.
Yes.
And they were more than willing to help.
Yeah. All the questions specifically highlight the toxicity of that workplace, and her as well. And we also had to do a lot of research on our own because some of the stuff that we did find out, it was actually really concerning.
But we'll get into it.
Ensuring the safety of their workers, creating a safe environment for people to work and at their best. Never. Especially because a lot of our city's crime takes place here, and leaving young girls alone to take care of it was never even something she considered to be an issue.
Also, she throws in the fact that it's only female workers. Before bosses' obligations, there's like a moral code of how to be a respectable member of society, and she barely even upheld that. I think bosses are meant to provide health and safety approved working environments and a safe space where the employee-employer relationship is understanding and respected on both sides. And no, neither of these two obligations were upheld. For example, we developed a serious black mold situation. It was in sinks, toilets, walls, clothing I had to throw away, and I begged her not to sell because black mold kills people. But she refused to listen and then later tried to sue me for the money of those clothes. Dust mites which were not only biting us employees but customers. And we had customers coming in where their whole bodies were bitten up. And I knew it was true because it happened to me too. And she didn't give me a solution because there's no way in hell I'm washing all the clothes by myself. So I just put up signs. Open wires that shocked employees and customers. I didn't notice, but others told her about it and she accused them of cutting the wires. Another example, asbestos pushing up the floorboards, causing bugs to come out. We all made her aware, but she literally did nothing. Another example, being super disrespectful to staff when the staff were just expressing their opinions or standing up for themselves in the most respectful way. Bullying staff, hiring staff due to the want for inappropriate relations. Threatening to sue staff, involving everyone in your personal problems, but completely dismissing advice or concerns for other people's own problems.
That was a long list of examples too.
I know. Yeah, she really gave us all the tea.
Next question. I can't remember, sorry, but I do know that it wasn't right from the get-go.
My first interaction with her went badly. I had no idea what was going on or who she was at the time because I had never met the boss. So when I was trying to figure out what was going on, I got yelled at for standing around and talking instead of helping her.
She answers, the first red flag I noticed was her odd behavior when it came to men. For example, the first time her and I had a conversation alone, she told me I was beautiful, which I thanked her for, but then she mentioned one of the workers in the area who I'd met once before and told me to stay away from him because he's hers, and then went on to talk about how big he was. When that happened, I literally did not know what to do. I've never spoken with bosses that way, only my friends. So I just stood there and was like, haha, girl, no, he's all yours.
So yeah. She's double our age.
The he's her thing, that was normal.
God. The things I really want to say, but
yeah, I know.
Next question. Honestly, all of the above. That speaks volumes.
Unrealistic demands and boundary violations were the most pressing ones for me personally. I used to get in a lot of trouble numerous times for a lot of things, but one of them was due to being disrespectful, and it did my head in because I was genuinely 100% never trying to come across that way. I couldn't even figure out how she was interpreting it as disrespect or how I could have come across any more respectful unless I were to be unusually formal. Being yelled at and framed as a disrespectful person while she would victimize herself literally hurt my heart and made me doubt myself. Another reason I used to get in trouble a lot for was relaying conversations that were supposed to stay between the two of us. If I thought another person should have known at the time, I was going to let them know because there was no way I wasn't going to protect my coworkers. As for boundary violations, once when I said to her, I don't feel like talking about non-related work things right now, I just want to focus on doing work, she went apeshit. I said that partially because I didn't feel comfortable enough to be talking about my life with her, and also because I was wary of anything you said to her being used against you at some point in some way, regardless of how insignificant the convo may have seemed. Manipulation, hello. For example, she once gave me examples of her being bare minimum nice to me to prove that she was a good person, and me not wanting to talk about non-work related things with her was just so horrible of me. And another one was trying to isolate me from my coworkers by purposely causing rifts between staff members and manipulating the situation so that reconciliation would be impossible for me. I know that's right.
Yeah. Literally everything listed above. Like I said, she had her days where she was lovely, but her behavior a large majority of the time was so exhausting. She would love you one day, then hate you the next, complain about you to other employees or complain about others to you, out you, exclude you and belittle you in front of anyone, including shitting on her employees to other store owners. But honestly, I'd rather she hated me because when you were her favorite for that day or even the week, you weren't just praised on your work ethics, you were dragged into her personal problems. For example, drunk calls where she's crying about men who don't love her, or how broke she is and expecting you to fix it, but no matter what you say, she gets pissed, making you come over to her house where she either boosts herself or makes you just listen to her, constantly messaging you and getting you to do more than she pays you to do. Always, was her answer. When there would be weird people in the back room doing drugs while I'm meant to be working. Was anybody warned of this?
No.
Like, kind of behavior? Was she forthcoming with her employees about this kind of behavior?
No, I didn't think that it was that kind of a workplace.
Did she ever let anybody know that anybody else was there with her?
No.
Okay.
No, because, she was the boss. She was the owner.
I do get that, but I think like a little heads up if there's like drugs involved.
It was hard drugs too.
Boss making me kiss her at a work party, then proceeding to scream at me over a speaker one of her guests knocked over. Also, what is with this like sexual misconduct in a workplace? Constant shoplifters and people making the actual workplace physically unsafe. But no actions were ever taken to provide solutions. Surprise, surprise. Physically, not so much, although she hugged me a few times and I kind of just stood there like... Mentally and emotionally, without a doubt. I had to take a couple of days off many times because I couldn't handle being around her stores after heated arguments with her because it was too much for my mental health. I also used to bawl my eyes out and ask to take the rest of the day off because of her, and then not being able to until I had cover, which was always hours later, and she said if I was to just close up and leave, not to bother coming back.
It was not new behavior. Her making her workers cry was a thing.
This isn't so much about safety, but the amount of cameras that were in the store made me feel uncomfortable, even though I wasn't doing anything wrong, simply because I felt like I had so many eyes on me all the time. I get it.
Totally get that.
Totally get that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to tell the workers where the blind spots were in the cameras because there were so many. There were a couple of times when crime got really bad for like a few weeks. A man was stabbed and bled out in our doorway. A man smashed with a hammer. People on the run and hiding from cops in our store regularly, people stepping you out, and so on. When we got super understaffed, like there was only 2 of us left, we asked her for the following possible solutions. 1, close stores when security finishes earlier. 2, keep one entrance open. Or 3, work together on later shifts because it got dark quickly. She hated staff being together even if they didn't have a choice and it was out of their control because she thought they were talking shit. She said no to all of the above, so we either just stayed together anyways or left early.
Next question.
On the star and how she would select favorites.
Ooh, select favorites.
But specifically when my friend tried to take her life and her parents couldn't help her, so I tried to get cover for my shift. And she called me yelling at me, saying that I needed to work and that my friend was a meth addict and I should leave it. My friend has never taken meth and just tried to take her own life. Also, when actual people who abuse drugs were invited to our work party,
imply that their friend is a meth addict.
Yeah, which that's a reach.
Also, even if her friend was,
yeah,
I know her friend
it doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're her boss. That's not what you say to your employee. I had learned very early on from word of mouth what she was like and how everyone knew to walk on eggshells around her. But the moment I was like, this is was when my coworker was put on full blast in our work chat and then let go of for something that was completely out of their control.
She would always go MIA, but one time upon Her Majesty's return, she asked for updates on everything and if any improvements were made where necessary, completely ignoring the fact that we were left with no guidance, etc. for months.
You disappear for months and you have the audacity to ask your workers, who you left with no guidance, by the way, no instructions, nothing, if any improvements were made. Like, what the Be so for real.
The drunk phone calls were the first thing for me. Then the loving me one day and then hating me the next, because I've been in toxic relationships. I know love bombing and manipulation when I see it. She said, I left. That's all that needed to be said.
Yeah. I stayed and suffered for a bit just because I felt sorry for her. But I did end up leaving because I couldn't take any more of her constantly victimizing herself and villainizing everyone else, including the people I come to care about.
She really does make you feel insane.
Yeah, she really does a number on the people she interacts with. So I stayed because it was hard finding another job. I did actually quit twice. The first time, we both had an argument because she cut my hours, and I told her I was doing so much for her, it's so unfair to do that, which she didn't like. So I quit, but then she begged me back, and I really needed a job, so I came back. And the second time, which was the final time, her and I got into an argument in the middle of the store, and I couldn't take her anymore, so I was just like, you too, bitch, and left.
Lucky.
Iconic as Next question.
Boss didn't email me back from my resignation email, so I don't really know how we left it, but bad experience. Never felt safe at work due to the constant shoplifters and crime. Boss did not care and would abuse you if you tried to say anything. Pretty terrible. I'm the kind of person who can defend anyone and always believes the good in everyone, and that included her. But I was continuously astounded by her as a whole, not in a good way, and really do want her to get the karma she deserves just to set her straight. I just want her to understand how what she's doing / done is not okay, and if she thinks it is or stands for it, then she is incredibly selfish. I just want her to understand this. This goes back years.
I left with her, flipping out at me, screaming, yelling, and crying, talking about me to new employees and old ones, as well as random people working in the area, actually paying me out. She threatened to take me to court, as well as threatening my family. However, her lawyers advised her to pay me out because with all the evidence I had on her, I could take her to court for more.
The threatening the family is insane.
Yeah, threatening someone is one thing. Threatening their family, girl, you better run.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do that.
Mm-mm.
Screaming, yelling, and crying. Have you no shame?
I know. I feel like it definitely has, but I couldn't tell you in what ways.
Because there's too many ways.
There's still that it like affects you.
Mm-hmm.
Like your perception of work, your perception of a boss,
Your perception of people.
my mental health definitely took a hit. I think it's made me more aware of certain behaviors that I can no longer excuse, which sucks because I've always prided myself and always seen the good in people. It made me a more exhausted and judgmental person, honestly. It's not all her fault. I have personal problems too, but she was like the icing on the cake. I'm still nice and I love having fun, but I just noticed in the end working for her made me so much more negative. Last question.
She only has one message, and that's to the old boss. So, to my old boss, you.
To future employees, I think every staff member should be aware of who they're dealing with because it's not something you'd expect in a job. She was literally whack.
To my old boss, please learn to be a decent human being. You are literally not all good, and it's like abusive to people who have to deal with you. Trust me, it feels so good to be a good person.
And to us, thank you guys for doing this. You're the strongest people ever. So much respect for you.
Yeah, a lot of love for
Yeah.
all the girls.
Yeah, a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad reading these answers. So those working for her, good fucking luck. It's not all bad, and I know you'll have fun along the way, but just know when you've had enough, it'll be hard to leave, but it'll all be okay.
To my old boss, I don't know what happened that made you the way that you are, but I've seen you hurt so many people that I've come to care about, but I've also seen you hurt. So thank God the universe balances out hoes karmic cycles.
And to my future boss, I don't have the patience anymore to tolerate shitty behavior, so I'm sorry if I'm quick to defend myself. I'm sad for them. It's validating in a sense that they went through the same thing, even though no one should have to go through any of that. We're all out.
Yeah, I'm proud of all of us. I also have a lot of emotions. I think I have one very, very strong emotion though. Like I'm really, really mad. Mad that we all had to go through that. That she put us through that.
Yeah.
Treated us so badly. I don't even have any words. I'm so mad.
It's just years and years. This is only a few of ex-employees. She's been in business for years.
Yeah.
How far back does this really go?
Do you have any last words? Or do I?
I do have final last words for my ex-boss. Quit playing the victim because you're not the victim. If anything, in our story and your ex-employee stories, you're the villain, and act your age.
My last words go out to my ex-employer and only my ex-employer. You cannot keep treating people like this. You can't keep behaving the way that you behave. It's not right and it's not fair. None of us, we didn't deserve it. We don't deserve it. And you cannot keep going on terrorizing people for being good people. I also do want to use a couple of your lines. I've switched them a bit, I've tweaked it. You manipulated all of us, you stitched all of us up, and you broke all of our hearts.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. You're not okay, and you should not be in a position of power. That's period, point blank. Enjoy health. I hear it's balmy over there.